enkomo wono eye co-chair at the Citizen Movement Against Corruption na anope yene no any enkomo. Mzasene, good morning. If you can hear me, this is Kessben.
Good morning.
I trust you are doing well.
Yes, I am, by God's grace.
Very well. So it has come to the public domain, some allegations and then issues raised about the sitting member of parliament for Bibiani Ariaso Bekwai making a very public declaration that he is more than ready to pay monies to induce delegates to vote for him ahead of the NPP's parliamentary primaries upcoming. Now, the concerns are that he's been able to hoard enough dollars that will convince the delegates if they are to pay much more money to induce them to voting for him. Some of the things like this are the very things that anti-corruption campaigners like your very self and then your institution campaign against, how we can be able to have a very sound political atmosphere without any form of inducement. Now, let me hear you and then the concerns you have on this particular development.
Well, thank you very much. What the MP has described is what we call vote buying. And vote buying, what he has said is an intent to buy votes. And that's an electoral malpractice covered the laws of the country. Electoral laws clearly state that vote buying is illegal. That attempt to gain items for their votes. Now, it's a criminal offense when done, and it is something that even when it expresses, like when somebody expresses an intention to go and it's captured.
Can you please hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you reposition yourself? We have some breakages in your line.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I think it's better now.
All right. So I think what has been described by the MP is what we call vote buying. And it's a clearly stated electoral malpractice under the laws of Ghana. You are in breach of the law when you actually engage in giving monies or inducements for the votes of people. Because what it does is it deprives citizens and society of the most competent people in terms of their ability to manage the resources and the affairs of whichever area they are given responsibility for. And so all over the world, in terms of best practice, vote buying is unacceptable, and you are liable to, I believe, there are terms of imprisonment or fines when found. So I can't remember the CI, but it is a breach of our law if you engage in it. Now, for all crimes, when you express an intent to, that alone, as far as I'm concerned, should require a sanction. I mean, it should be given a caution. It should elicit a caution that what you are saying goes against the laws of the land. And if you proceed to actually engage in it, then you will face the full rigors of the law. Now, the shock is that even if this has been done, quietly in certain spaces, for someone to be confident enough to be on a public platform and say, I'm going to do this, just tells you that we've gotten to the point where vote buying is becoming normalized and institutionalized, and we all need to be very careful, because that would not provide this country the ethical kind of leadership that leads to the democratic dividends that other countries that have developed have achieved. You cannot gain those democratic dividends when the leadership are bankrupt ethically, because they will not distinguish what is right from wrong, do not make choices that allow the most effective and efficient leaders and personalities to be in superficial positions to ensure the best use of resources. So it's a crime under the law, and it is a shock for any sitting MP to be able to publicly express this without understanding that he is attempting to breach the law.
Very well, but one would say this is just a mere commentary or mere words said by the honorable member of parliament, and so there isn't evidence of the real act in doing what he has actually mentioned. And so where does he become liable for an offense in terms of prosecution?
Well, I think we'll leave that to the lawyers to determine. But from where I sit, if you had anyone publicly declaring that they intend to breach a law, that itself should be a red flag leading to a caution. This, for me, is something that the police should investigate, and perhaps it will be the criminal, the CID, because it's a potential crime against the state and against the law. If you had anyone saying you're going to go and do armed robbery or steal or kill or commit any other crime for that matter, or commit fraud, you have a responsibility under the law to report such an individual. You can't sit by and somebody says I'm going to commit a crime and you don't report that individual. It's not done, and it's not acceptable that anyone should even dare to say publicly without realizing that what you are saying is I'm going to breach the laws of the land, laws that have been set to keep the peace and harmony of the citizens. So it is the fact that we have gradually seen the seeping, influence of the monetization of our politics does not mean we should continue to allow it to grow, because what it does mean is very soon you have capture. You have capture of authority by individuals who have money. This is not just elite capture, but it's financial capture. So it is those who have the wherewithal who will be in positions of trust, and they will continue to serve their personal business interests rather than the public general interests of citizens.
Now, that was actually going to be my next question, because oftentimes we hear politicians lie about such allegations. Now, anytime there is a major election and then politicians are caught bribing people just to get through the electoral processes, they lie blatantly, stating that they never paid monies and all of that. Now, the question is that we know in real terms that some of these things do happen. They induce the delegates in buying their vote and then making sure they vote for them. How do we reduce some of these occurrences? Because on the other side, you are hearing Kennedy Akompre-Ekwe-Jepong, who is a presidential aspirant, making huge allegations against fellow contenders and stating that some of them paid as much as 150,000 to party constituency chairmen plus pickups before they even voted in the special delegate election. And so if you hear some of these things coming from the angles, from different perspectives of the same people within the ruling political party, then how do we ensure that we're going to fight some of this canker moving forward into a major election year?
I think you've asked a very substantive question, and it just, for me, provides a greater responsibility for us to look at the electoral laws and the CI covering the whole issue of electoral malpractices. It seems to me that the sanctions regime will have to be strengthened, and then perhaps the level of evidence and who should act should be clearly stated. Because in my mind, we should not allow individuals, doesn't matter which political party or coloration they have, to be on any public platform, even in private making statements of this nature without immediately being picked up for questioning, cautioning, and when necessary, sanctioning. Because that's the only way we are going to guarantee that this nation remains, secure and is making progress for the future. We have seen how we have really not made any substantive developmental gains in the last 2-3 election cycles. We don't seem to be getting much out of this whole exercise of democratic dispensation. And a big part of it simply is the political party arrangements and the financing of political party activities. Because you see, when you have individuals who purely it is because of the amount of money I spent, then there is no limit to how much they spend. They come back and they spend the entire 4-year period trying to make back gains, not just to pay back, but also to make profit sufficient enough for them to be comfortable for the next duration. That kind of venture totally undermines our capacity as a nation to make good progress, because where the best person should get a contract or should be the one to be nominated for something, then we are thinking about our family, friends, and cronies, people who will give us back passes and contracts and what have you. That is not the way to manage a country, especially a nation that is so rich in resources. And ordinarily, if everybody was just doing their ethical bit and managing things well, all of us should be benefiting. So this poses a big risk, and I am glad you have raised this question, because clearly, if they have started talking this way, then the kinds of money they are going to be spending, you can be sure as soon as they get appointed, elected and appointed, these are the people who will be robbing the country and the state of the resources that we need for development. And we should not countenance this kind of talk, nor close our eyes to what is going on. So perhaps this should also be a call to the Chief Justice, that as we approach the election year, what kind of strengthening of the necessary laws do we have, are we going to do to ensure that our politicians don't take us for a ride?
Very well. Mr. Adamson, I'm very grateful for your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And co-chair at the Citizens Movement Against Corruption.